Not all love stories begin with a spark. Some begin with a pause, a reason to stay, a choice to keep listening when the world hurries by. The hidden origin of romantic love is often not a single moment of destiny, but a quiet accumulation of ordinary days that decide to lean in. In the city where Mira ran a tiny cafe and Theo worked a late shift at the bookstore next door. Their paths crossed because of a shared stubbornness to keep their promises, even when life pressed them into corners. Mira kept a journal of little victories, the first customers who smiled, the cinnamon scent of her bread, the way the sun found the windows at the same hour each afternoon. Theo kept a shelf of books that refused to bend under the weight of rain. And he kept notes in a dog-eared notebook about places he would go if the world calmed down. One morning the rain stitched the street into glass, and a booked page fell from Theo's shelf, fluttering into Mira's doorway. The moment should have been simple, a meeting of rain and paper, yet it became a doorway. He apologized, she offered tea, and the small exchange bloomed into a rhythm. They began swapping stories between customers and rain, between the clatter of cups and the hush of turning pages. They learned to listen not just to each other, but to the rooms they inhabited: the kitchen clock, the bus stop, the cinder block wall that held a tiny mural of a tree. The page of Theo's notebook bore a calendar of unlikely adventures and a question scratched in. "Will you meet me for coffee on a day I have no plan?" They laughed at the audacity and wondered if life could be simpler than it looked. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it felt like a thread tying 2 days together. They faced ordinary challenges that could have pulled them apart. Mira's grandmother grew ill, and the cafe began to stutter under the weight of worry. Theo faced a late bill at the bookstore, a problem with a landlord who didn't understand the value of a heart that still believed in chapters. In those moments, it wasn't romance in a reckless flourish. It was rescue in the shape of a cup of soup, a hand that paid for bread when the money was short, a week of shared grocery runs and quiet presence that said, "You're not alone." They learned to translate fear into tenderness, to name the fear aloud, and to promise to carry each other through it. Love here grew not from fireworks, but from the courage to stay, to listen, and to offer a home to the other person's fragile hopes. The hidden origin wasn't a single moment of confession. It was a long, patient apprenticeship in trust. The more they spoke about failure and fear, the things they dared not admit, the more they discovered. The other was not a perfect stranger but a mirror with flaws they could repair together. They learned that the heart doesn't simply open, it knits itself into the fabric of a shared life. SFX, soft_music, 4. A late summer night found them at a park where the city paused. The air smelled of lavender and rain. Theo told Mira a story about a lighthouse keeper who never stopped guiding ships even when his own light flickered. Mira shared the dream she kept in a drawer, a bakery that would feed the neighborhoods with warmth and hope. They found themselves listening not to the distance between them but to the distance inside themselves that could be closed with another's presence. In the silence, their hands brushed, and something inside Mira softened. Not because the moment demanded it but because she allowed herself to receive. She realized that love isn't a grand rescue of the other person. It's the long, patient rescue of the self. The belief that our best parts deserve a partner who helps them grow. The turning point was quiet and almost invisible. It happened when Theo refused to rush Mira onto a path that wasn't her own. He chose to walk the path beside her, even when life meandered through fear and doubt. And Mira did the same for him, offering space for his tired dreams, lifting him with praise when he needed it, and stepping back when what he needed most was solitude. SFX, soft_chimes, 2. There is a line from an old book that feels true here. Love is not a finish line but a living, growing stake in a future you cannot predict. The couple's love matured in the everyday. A Sunday morning ritual of shared coffee cups that cooled before they could drink them. A repaired bicycle under a lean-to shed they called their own. A kitchen that learned to remember each other's favorite spice without asking. They discovered a surprising origin in kindness that compounds. Small, consistent acts accumulate the way rain gathers into streams. A note tucked into a jacket sleeve. A neighbor invited for dinner. A grocery list written in a handwriting only the other recognizes. The more they acted with intention, the more the other believed in their future. Belief became trust, trust became safety. And safety became a home they built with the work of their own hands, day by day. When storms roared outside, they found shelter in each other's arms. Not as if romance were a shield from pain, but as a shelter that shared the pain. And when a door of opportunity opened, an unexpected audition for Mira, a rare book prize for Theo, their support functioned like a chorus. You can do this, we believe in you, you deserve this moment. The origin story also travels inward. They learned to listen to the inner weather, the days when hope felt distant, the mornings when energy was a rumor. They learned to tell the truth about those days and to show each other that truth with kindness. The honesty became the compass that kept them moving toward a future they both could call home. And yet, even with all this, romance remained a delicate creature. It did not demand a lifetime of certainty but offered a lifetime of repair. They learned to apologize with posture, to forgive with texture, to love with the sense that tomorrow might be brighter if they kept showing up. That kind of perseverance is not glamorous, but it is fierce in its simplicity. In time, the tiny rituals grew into shared dreams. They started a weekly ritual of strolling through the city's old streets, tracing the places where their paths had aligned before they spoke a word aloud. They found that the origins of their love were not in a single moment but in a constellation of choices, to check in, to celebrate the small win, to give more than they take. The moral of their story is not that love conquers all at once, but that it remains possible because two people decide to stay. They learn to reinterpret the word forever as our next honest step. And when life threw a curveball, a sudden move for Mira's sister, a health scare for Theo's mother, they faced it with a plan to support, not escape. The heart often speaks in the language of ordinary days: coffee breath on a winter morning, a shared umbrella on a crowded street, a borrowed jacket that fits better than any coat could. Those are the hidden gears that power romance. Not the fireworks, but the patient, faithful hours. The choices to see the other person whole even when their flaws glare in the light. As the year turned toward silver and then to quiet gold, Mira and Theo found themselves telling stories to someone else who needed to hear them: a neighbor, a student who stopped by after class, a friend who had forgotten how to hope. In giving, they realized they had received more than they expected, a belief that love is not a prize one wins but a partnership one tends. In the end, what makes a love story feel earned is not the closeness of a kiss but the resilience of the bond that stays when the music fades. It is the quiet willingness to keep growing, to ask for help when the heart is heavy, to listen when the other person speaks in a language of fatigue and fear. It is the daily decision to choose again, with open hands, to be a safe harbor. The hidden origins of romantic love you didn't know lie in these humble, persistent acts. They live in the hours when no one is watching, in the compromises that prove you care, in the kindness that refuses to let the other person drown in their own doubts. They live in a partnership that feels less like a fairy tale and more like a garden, one that needs weeding, rain, sun, and patient tending. If you're listening and you feel a spark you didn't expect, that small, steady warmth in your chest, remember that this is not a mirage. It is a sign. The origin of romance isn't removed from ordinary life, it is planted within it, nurtured by effort, watered by forgiveness, and shaped by commitment. Love grows when two people decide that their shared life matters more than the fear of imperfect days. It blooms when hope is practiced, when trust is earned, and when the heart learns to see beauty in the mundane. So the next time you catch yourself smiling at a memory you didn't plan, know that you are meeting that hidden origin again. The truth that love begins in the everyday, in the soft courage to stay. and in the willingness to see the other as they truly are. The rest unfolds as it will, with patience, faith, and the promise of a future where two imperfect people can create something tender, resilient, and true. Endless horizons wait for those who keep faith with their own hearts. The hidden origins of romantic love are not a secret formula but a quiet invitation: keep listening, keep choosing, keep caring. The rest is a miracle you can live into, day after ordinary